Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm bringing you a comparison of the three top dog reels that you're going to be seeing out on the water. When I say top dog reels, I'm talking about the reels that you're going to be seeing on the jetties, off the piers, just around the bridges, off the docks. The big boy reels that people use for targeting big snooks, redfish, tarpons, groupers, anything that you see really big spinning reels. These are going to be the top three of those ones. So to start it off, I have 5 different categories. First of all, I have the gear ratio, the line retrieve, which is crank per inch or inches per crank. We have the weight of the reels, the braid, and the drag. The braid capacity and the drag of the reel, drag max of the reels. So I do have a little curveball in here because these are 6,000 size reels, and then I have a 4,500. The reason I have a 4,500 in here is it matches for the weight and it matches for the line capacity better than the 5,500 does. So I'll give you the comparison of the 5,500 and the 4,500, but for representation, I do have a 4,500, and I'll go into the explanation of why. So starting off, we have the Diawa Saltist MQ, which is a beautiful reel. We have the Penn Slammer 4, which is the 4,500. It's a 6,000, 4,500. And we have the Saragossa. This is a 6,000 size Saragossa. So the list that I have is going to break down a couple of the specs, the numbers, and I'm going to give you personal opinion also on these. I've used all these reels on the water. I've caught in good sized snooks, reds, sharks. Well, you name it, I've pretty much hooked these reels up to them, at least one different species on each one. So they've all had a little bit of work put into them, and I can give a good representation of the reel now. So start out the numbers. The Diawa Saltist MQ has a 5.7 to 1 gear ratio, has 39.9 inches per crank, has 15.3 ounce weight, braid capacity is 240 yards of 40 pound, and then drag is 26.4 pounds. So that's pretty good. It's not bad. We're going to move over to the Saragossa. The Saragossa, this is a 6,000 also. The gear ratio is 5.7 to 1. You have 40 inches per crank. You have 16.4 ounce weight. Braid capacity is 240 yards of 40 pound, and then drag max is 22 pounds. Let me say something real quick. The braid capacity is going to change per line. So if you use a suffix braid that is very thin compared to a regular Power Pro, just regular 4-strand Power Pro, you're going to get two different numbers for that capacity. If you use Max Quattro Power Pro versus the regular Power Pro Super Slick or just one of those, different line capacities. So this is the number that I got for what I had on them and what I was able to get on them. So moving on, this is going to be the curveball that I was talking about. The Penn Slammer, first of all, their numbering scheme, I don't know what's going on with it, but they're definitely way off. They've always been off on their numbering scheme. This is the 4,500. Their 4,500 in weight and line capacity matches the 6,000 size of most other reels. So the drag capacity beats most of 6,000 size reels. Now, if we were to go with a 5,500, which number scheme matches closer to the 6,000, you're talking, 30-40% heavier, an extra 100 yards of line capacity. Drag is almost double the amount of drag power. So the numbers don't really match up. I have a 4,500 because it represents the reel better for the size. As far as the size comparison, this is what you would probably be looking at if you were looking at a 6,000 Saragossa or a 6,000 Saltist. A 4,500 is a better comparison to the three. So numbers for the 4,500 is 6.2 to 1 gear ratio. So a higher gear ratio to start. You have 40 inches of retrieve on this reel. Weight is 15.0 ounces. The braid capacity is 210 yards of 40 pound. And then the drag is going to be 30 pounds of drag under this reel. Now, if we were to have a 5,500, I will give you the numbers anyways because it's their sizing. This is what they would say would fit that category, but it doesn't. So the Penn Slammer 5,500 has a 5.6 to 1 gear ratio, which does match the 6,000 size gear ratios, but When you start jumping over to other numbers like the weight, it's 22.0 ounces compared to the 15 to 16 ounce, area that we've been in. For the line capacity, you're talking 335 yards of 40 pound, which, that's 35% more line than the other reels, roughly. And then the drag capacity, you're talking 40 pounds of drag versus most of the other reels are running about 22 to 26 pounds. So hence, that's why I used the 4500 as a representation. I think it gives a more honest representation of the reel. So start off just declaring some winners of the specs. Just the numbers, number-wise. If you're looking for a higher gear ratio, the Penn Slammer will win. If you're looking for a lower gear ratio, the Shimano and the Diawa match. They're a 5.7 to 1, so it's the same gear ratio. Now, the retrieve of the line, the Penn and the the Penn Slammer 4500 and the Shimano 6000 are the same. They're both 40 inches. Now, the Diawa 6000 is losing by 0.1 inches. So, Diawa, what can I say? It's 0.1 inches. The weight of the reels, the 4500 Slammer is lighter by 0.3 ounces, but if you're looking for that 6000 size, you're going to be actually still lighter at the Diawa Saltist 6000, and then the Shimano Saragossa is actually going to be ranked pretty much third on this one. I will say the Diawa is a little bit larger for the 6000 size. Let's see it in its most compact form. These are the two. So as far as weight, I think this, for some reason, this feels lighter. Maybe it's just the way this reel is. Maybe it's just the way it sits. I think the Saltist feels better. I think it feels lighter than the Slammer, but the numbers are saying that this is 0.3 ounces heavier. I would like to say this is the winner in my opinion, but the numbers are saying this guy won. The line capacity. The line capacity is a big issue. Definitely if you're going to go for tarpons and stuff like that, fish that can run for hours. The line capacity winner would actually be tied right between the Saltist and the Saragossa. For the numbers that I got, it does vary a little bit, so you got to give about a 20 yard variation. We're looking at 240 yards of 40 pound. And then for the drag capacity, the 4500 Slammer actually wins at the drag capacity. A lot of people talk about inflated numbers when it comes to drag capacity, and people say Penn's numbers are inflated. I have used the 4500 Slammer, and I have muscled fish in just as well as I have on my Saltist, and just as well as the Saragossa. I would probably say the Slammer is a strong reel, 30 pounds. It says it wins. I would probably say the Saltist has a nicer drag as far as being smoother. I would say this guy is still pretty strong. It has a nicer drag clicker, but we're not talking about the clicker right now. I'm talking about the actual drag, the power of the drag, and I would probably say the Saltist won that one also. So talking about winners, out of the specs, I'd probably say the Saltist has won the spec category, like just the number wise. Going out of personal opinion now, and when I say personal opinion, I'm saying the sound of the reel, how smooth it is, how it feels when casting. Definitely, these are things that I count as personal opinion. So you can't just look at numbers and say, oh, this, and that. So number one, let's go with drag clicker. That's a big deal for anybody. Definitely, if you're setting your reel down with some live bait and you want to hear when it goes off, I would probably say, drag clickers are one of the big things that people turn to. So Saragossa has always had a nice drag. I've never heard of anyone complaining about the drag sound. It's a very deep clicker. I mean, this almost sounds like a conventional reel. It's just a crazy loud. You can definitely pick that up. It's a good tone. Going over to the Slammer next. The Slammer has a nice drag. A little bit quieter. Still a deep tone. You can pick it up pretty easily, but it is a little bit quieter. And going over, let's see here. So the Saltist, I would say, is definitely the quietest. It has a nice tone when it starts ripping out. say you hook a big jack, those are pretty strong fighting fish, and they'll run pretty fast, or a barracuda, those will run pretty fast. When you hook one of those, you'll just hear it go zzz. It's a really nice tone on the dial when it starts moving, but just those kind of small clicks, say you're just free-lining something and you want to set that drag real quick and set it down, you won't pick this Saltist up as quick as you would the Saragossa or the Penn. So winner for the drag sound, make it nice and easy, is going to be the Saragossa. This guy, you can hear it from a mile away. Like, it sounds like a roller coaster just going up. It's a beautiful sound on this reel. I'd say this wins that drag sound. If you picked up a reel and you start turning it, this is going to be the one that you want to start turning. It's just a beautiful sound. Slammer's going to be in third, and then the Saltist is going to be in fourth. And sorry, Slammer's in second, Saltist is in third. Going over to the smoothness of the reel, Shimano has been one that has been, they've always held that category of being a smooth, Japanese-made reel, Japanese technology, easy peasy Japanesey. This right here is a very smooth reel, but I think it's been dethroned by a new reel, and it's not the Penn. Nice, it's pretty well built, very smoother than the Penn Slammer 3. We're talking about the Saltist. This is the smoothest one out of all of them, by far. Like, I would say this knocks the Slammer down to feeling like garbage. When you start really turning this, it's nice and smooth. I like this. This wins the smoothness battle for me. Now, going over to another one that I'm just going to talk about is the handle. This is a big category for everybody. To me, in this category, it should have a power knob. The power knobs are crucial, definitely when you really need to put that power down on them. The Slammer has always had a nice power knob, aluminum feel. I do like the aluminum. You don't really have to worry about anything messing up with it, any rubber kind of wearing off. It's very nice. And it's easy to grip because it has some like serrations for the design. And that actually helps out when it gets wet. So you can get a very nice grip on that and start cranking down. Now, I do also like the Saragossa's power knob. It is like a T handle almost, just a little bit fatter, and you can get a pretty good grip on there. The only thing with this is I'm not a big fan of the rubberized texture when it gets wet, but you do get a better grip on this than you do on the Saltist. Saltist is very pretty. It's like a polished aluminum. You can see a reflection in this guy. Very smooth. There's a ball bearing in here, I think. It could be a bushing, and it spins really nice, but it's not a fidget spinner. It's a, so that doesn't matter. It's really nice. The only thing is you can't get a good purchase on this. Like when it really comes down to it, if this reel gets wet, you got blood on your hands, anything like that, fish guts, I would say this is going to be third place. This guy is going to have to be second place, and the Slammer is going to win the power knob one. Now you could get aftermarket ones, but to me, when you're spending $300 on a reel, it should come with a good power knob. And I think the Slammer wins that. I like the feel of this one a lot more. Those serrations help you get a better purchase when your hands are covered in those fish guts and everything like that. So, power knob, that one's going to go to the Slammer. Now, one more that I'm going to go in there, and I'm just going to say the casting distance on these. I've had, I've used them on different rods, so I can't give a good explanation on why some of these work differently. Better way to say it is I've never used these on the same rods, so I can't, I can't give a good representation on that. But I will say the Saltist does outcast my Slammer. They're both 40 pound. I use the same lure weights, same rod weights, all that. So they should be pretty similar, same rod size. But this Saltist casts a mile. And I don't know why exactly. Some kind of witchcraft in the reel. But it does cast further than the Slammer. On the Saragossa does cast really nice, cast very far. But I probably will say this guy casts further. Couple more things I'm just going to throw in personal opinion. Definitely when you're using a heavier duty reel around the piers and bridges and stuff like that, this is a lot thicker of a bail. That's one category I was kind of leaving out of there because it's personal opinion. But the Saltist has a thicker bail. It is their air bail, so throwing that out there. Penn Slammer has the second thickest bail out of them. And then you have the Saragossa has a thinner bail, probably closer to like that of a Stratic. You know, just throwing that out there as far as it does make a difference. You know, when you're fishing and you snap a bail, you're done. So it's not fun. I would probably say that is important also. I left that category out because it's a really big personal opinion, but I like the thicker bail definitely when I'm doing some more heavy duty fishing and doing fishing around jetties and rocks, drop your reels, stuff like that. So the Saltist one on that one. One more category that I'm going to throw out there is the smoothness of the drag. That's one thing that people leave out of there. The smoothness of the drag is really how that drag just starts flowing out. Some drags will get kind of worked in, meaning that they won't be smooth, and once they start working in, they'll be a lot smoother. One of the drags that actually is the Slammer. This drag is very strong. I don't really think their 30-pound number is really inflated. It's a very strong drag, but it is not smooth when you first get it. You have to let some fish break this reel in. It will get smoother as you use it. The reel itself will get smoother as you use it. So this is one that I will say, it is not smooth out of the box. You are going to want some fish to kind of break in that drag, hook up some big fish, and just let them run, let them, you know, take their time, and then you muscle them in later on because you're just going to be breaking in that drag. Just as the drag washers warm up, they start fitting a little bit better. The Saltist drag is super smooth. This blows my mind. The Saltist has just been a great reel for the price. The Saragossa drag is also very smooth. Great drag in here. The only thing that I can say, I've heard of the drag washers burning out in here. Never happened to me. I'm just saying I've heard of it, but I will say this is a very smooth and nice drag also. Now, I'm going to start saying some winners here. Overall, just basic, my personal opinion, what I think is the best reel for the money, best reel on all three of these. And it's going to break some hearts here, but the Saltist MQ 6000. One category that I forgot to mention is the waterproofing. Let me go back here. The monocoque body on here is really good for the waterproofing. It does pretty much reduce the chances of any salt water or anything like that getting in there. It's very easy to keep this reel clean, nice, everything like that. So that's very important to me, is the waterproofing. The Slammer, IPX6, something like that. Yep, sealed body, waterproof, pretty much waterproof also. You can dunk this reel and nothing would happen to it. Wouldn't say do it on purpose, but you could. This would also be one of those reels. I can't say a definite winner for the waterproofing, but I can say a loser would be the Saragossa. This is pretty much the same body that they've been running for a while. So as far as the waterproofing, it's just not really there, which is important definitely when you're saltwater fishing. Now, I've heard of people saying like, oh, this reel will take anything. I want to see this. I want to see it. I want to see the specs for that. I want to see you guys say, hey, we sealed off our whole reel, IPX6, IPS, whatever you want to say in there. Tell me the reel's waterproof, so that way I know when it gets wet that I'm going to get some salt water on there, because it's going to happen, that I don't have to worry about it. You know, so that's one thing that I will say, this is the loser for the waterproofing. Now, back to the winner, Saltist MQ. This is my favorite reel, by far, right around a $300 price point. Drag capacity, this guy's 26.4 pounds. So right there in the middle, right behind the Slammer, but it is a very smooth drag. When you lock this puppy down, it's locked down. There's nothing really messing with it. It wins for the waterproofing system they have to keep this lightweight and everything. I think they did a great job on it. The composite body, weight-wise, line capacity, drag, all that smoothness. This is probably the best for the money. I would say this beats out the other three. Now, coming in at the second place was harder to pick. Like, this one being first place, to me was almost easy. Second place, it's gonna have to go to the Saragossa. Just number wise, there's a couple reasons here. This being a true 6,000 size reel, you have a little bit more line capacity. That makes a difference. The reel is a lot smoother. The only thing is this will win in a situational basis. If I am going to be surf fishing, I'd probably go with the slammer. But if I'm going just basically on a boat or off a pier, off a jetty, and I know this isn't going to get dunked and I have no real chance of getting this completely submerged in water, this guy's going to win. It is smoother, it has a good line capacity, good drag system on here. It's a proven reel, and it has a beautiful sounding drag. So this guy does come in second place. If you don't have one of the Saragossas, definitely go check them out. They're a beautiful reel. Now, coming in third place, but I gotta say, third place for 4,500. Now, this guy is a beautiful reel. The slammer, you can't go wrong with it. I'll be honest, you just can't go wrong with this. If you're doing any kind of surf fishing, or you know you're gonna beat the life out of your reels, this would probably be one of the winners. But in the situation that I'm thinking about, I would probably have to put this in third place. The reason is because for me, there should be a 5,000 size and not a 4,500. There should be a 6,000 size and not a 5,500. The better way to say it is by them going with those 500 like increments of reels, that little half reel, 4,500, 5,500, they're jumping a section, so can't give an honest opinion. If the 5,500 was 5 ounces lighter or 4 ounces lighter, and it had 30 pound, or sorry, the same drag, same everything else, and it was just 4 ounces lighter, I definitely say the 5,500 is going to win. Problem is at 22 ounces, the 5,500 is not going to win. That's too heavy of a reel for me to really be saying, yeah, it can actually compare to these ones. And for this being around that weight and still producing the drag that it does, this is a great inshore reel. I'm just not going to say it's going to keep up with the Saragossa and the Saltist. Now, I got to say, it's beautiful reel, very nice, very smooth. I cannot say enough good things about it, but it doesn't compare to this guy right here, the Saltist. If you haven't used one of these, you haven't checked it out yet, this is the one I would say go check out. Go take a look at. Diawa killed it with these. I had a ballistic LT. I literally sold it for pennies on the dollar just because I was not a fan of it. Got this on a whim, and this impresses me. It's just super smooth, very nice line capacity, good drag system in here. It's really, really nice. If I could say Diawa could do one thing better with this reel, it's just going to be that drag clicker. It's a very strong system, so I don't expect it to break, just very quiet. So if they could find a way to make that a little bit louder, that's all I would ask for. And then also maybe put some kind of rubberized texture on here, some serrations, something into this power knob. That's the only other thing I could really say for Diawa. Great reel, really nice, really smooth reel. That is definitely the winner. And then at number 2, the only thing I have bad to say about this is the waterproofing. Pretty much that's that, and then whatever their drag numbers are. I don't know why their drag's so light on this. At 22 pounds, that's the same drag as my 5,000 sustain, so it's a little bit sad. I was expecting this to be around 25, 26, 27 pounds would be really nice. So if they could find a way to bump up that drag number and waterproof this guy and tell me it's 100% waterproof to where I know it can get wet and not really worry about it, this would be the winner. But until then, Shimano, you're losing the Diawa. So that's my comparison, guys. That's the review. If you have any questions about the reels or anything like that, just shoot them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. I usually get back to people within about a couple days. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys would pick. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Take care. God bless.